Hello, everyone. Thank you for being here. Let's wait a couple of minutes for folks to gather, and we'll get started. These tools should have the ability to put some waiting music or something. So it doesn't feel just silent waiting. Anyway, it's just me rambling now then. All right, we'll wait another minute and we'll get started. Someone have some jokes or some stuff they want to talk about, now is the time. But be mindful, we're recorded. If I was good at telling jokes, I can tell you folks, you'll hear one every week. It's just I suck with jokes, so.
Knock, knock.
Who's there?
Nephew.
Oh yeah, well, let's get started. Thank you, Tal. I think I have enough good energy right now. So hello, everyone. This is SIG 1 meeting. We're April 15, Monday, April 15. So today for the agenda, we'll discuss a little bit about the Nephew Day that will occur at One Summit. And then we'll go through our regular working group updates. And that's all I have for today. So it seems to be a light agenda. I know Sana has something she wanted to talk about. Let me check a second. I should have been ready. Okay. All right. So hopefully she'll join. In the meantime, anyone else has some other topics they'd like to discuss today? All right. So let's get going. So last week we did discuss the Nephew Day at One Summit. We heard your feedback loud and clear. Sana took the action to talk to Kandan. So once she'll join us, maybe she'll be able to share a bit more. But so far, this is how the agenda looked like. As you can see, it's been broken up. It's weird because I heard last week we don't want to have SIG specific sessions. Well, looks like it's all broken up in SIG specific sessions. That said, we have a couple of talks scheduled for Silva, which I think is pretty cool because I really want to see more synergy happening there. And I know that gentleman from Telefon Italia had done some trial. So definitely I recommend people to look at that one. And then in the working group 2, the ORAN call team, thank you. I think we came up with 2 talks that will fill in that half an hour block. One to talk about a primer showing how ORAN is using Nephew enablers, and then ORAN integration lesson learned and challenges from release 2 and release 3 from our dear Sagar. So with that, any question on the agenda? And if not, I will open up for maybe a quick discussion on what do we like to see in the SIG-1 presentation and bird of feather. But I'll open up for questions maybe. None? Wow. All right. So that being so clear, from a SIG-1 standpoint, I haven't had a Bert, I need to talk. Please talk, Sana. Indeed, your mic is not working. Okay, Sana, while you figure that out, I'll well, I won't make jokes because I just said I was bad at it. But we'll get back to you, Sana, as soon as your mic works. In the meantime, yes, team.
So I just wanted to, we're talking about SIG-1, right? And so when you're ready, because I got a couple ideas that might really work out for the SIG-1 piece.
Please, yeah, that's what I'm asking for.
Okay, that's okay. I wasn't sure when to chime in. So I think one is a presentation of this bird of feather, right? So the presentation is we kind of know what you started. We kind of know what release 3 is forming up to look like, right? You have those themes and use cases. So I think we need to present those just to get them some idea of what they're getting and a very basic understanding of that in terms of the use cases that they'll see, right? Be able to experience and release rate. The other one is on the bird of the feather, the work that Karen is doing and that team on, or whoever's doing that, on the network architecture. I think it's you, right? Yeah, the network architecture out of SIG-1, where we come with the CI4. If we have,
right.
I really think that's a bird of a feather that would be very beneficial to the entire community, let alone the people working on it, so that they can see that drill down through. I went through that again today. I'm like going, yeah, we need to have a bird of a feather on this one because it actually does a very nice job of explaining the architecture of you. So I think those two things would be very beneficial.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Tim. The architecture is definitely top of mind, and it's funny you're mentioning it. I was working on it right before this call. Okay, thank you, Tim. Other points? Do we have Sana? No, Sana is not there. All right. Well, we can. Anyway, the session is not a big session. It's half an hour, so these two topics is pretty much already good to fill in half an hour.
It's probably worth, sorry, Karen here. I think the release process and maybe some kind of, I know Tal has spoken a little bit about doing some kind of continuous delivery model or getting more into more forward planning as opposed to kind of waiting until we're right up against a release before planning the next one. Be good to get ahead of things.
So you just need to be mindful. The release process, are you referring to how we make an if you release or more
No, release planning process, sorry. So the RX process, I guess.
Oh, okay. Yes. Thank you. RX
Alex,
process.
can you hear me now?
Yes, Sana. Give me one moment, Sana, please.
Okay.
So you're talking about this, Karen, just to ensure I'm in line with you. This
Yeah,
kind of
yeah,
thing?
exactly. Yeah, that, and then I guess when we talk about beyond sort of released, we're still talking about R3, and we'll probably end up talking about R3, R4 whenever we get to June or July or whenever. It would be good if maybe we can kind of start building a backlog that sort of expands beyond just one release and sort of planning it out in a kind of a more sort
Yes.
of
Yes,
view.
that's the intent. That's where we want to go. Absolutely. Roadmap. Yes, that's part of definitely an area that we want to get to. We're not done yet, but you're right. This is a goal. Thank you. Hey, Sana, please go ahead.
Hey, Alexi, can you hear me now?
Yes, you're audible.
Oh, perfect. Okay. I was just switching my audio settings, and meanwhile, I couldn't hear some of that, but I was just catching up on the notes. So there are two demos that I want to bring, and I discussed them with Kandan. And Kandan said that the best place for these demos would be SIG1 because of the nature of these demos. So one of the demos with some presentation, maybe taking 30 minutes time slot, is basically the one that I have done with Red Hat. Alexei, you are aware of some of the context in that. I'm just not finishing with what's done in the Red Hat. I'm trying to add something on the top for the Tosca part of it, where we can show the topology of the deployed network functions and what it means for us to have that kind of a modeling aspect on the top. And I'm pulling this together this week with Ara and another person within my team to basically work on that last bit. So it should be around 30 minutes for this one. And I think with the Karen's discussion on the work group 2 part, I think this might be something relevant that would fit in relation to that part. And I will also circle back with Karen to show what is the top part of that, basically the Tosca part of that, which is another few minutes. And of course, Alexei, my goal is to also share some of the challenges that we experienced in a production type deployment of Red Hat, and how we feel this could be useful for the community from our learnings, what to exchange there. So this demo is done. The travel tickets are all getting finalized from Terrace to share our learning, and some of our partner ecosystem companies to come in and show that with us. This is a second POC that is in progress right now. Me and Kandan are in a thread basically with another company who is basically doing a lot of work in Gen AI. And my goal for that company is also to become onboarded with this community, get introduced, and if they have something that they can spin up together very quickly with Nephew, I was going to give them an incentive to come and share that with the community. And that was something that me and Kandan brainstormed. So that's tentative, but another half an hour slot for that. That's also our partner company, and I am driving them to join Nephew with Kandan. We have had 2 discussions on that in the past. And that's another one that we are trying to basically pull them in. Let's keep that one as tentative. And I'm working through this week to basically confirm their travels and their demo, which should also be fitting in SIG1.
Okay.
Gen AI plus
That's
Nephew, they will do something on this. I'm driving them to do something, which should be very interesting.
okay. But I'm a bit concerned. We have
About the times, okay.
yeah, we have 2 time slots, right? The bird of feather session and the presentation session. And that's pretty much all we have, right? We have that 1 hour. So time-wise, the bird of feather session, I think, is already quite a jam-packed with this kind of scope. So do you think we can fit 2 demos in half hour? If you do, then I think it's good. I'm all for it. Just I want to be mindful about
okay.
the
I
time
know.
of
I understand. I
the
understand.
schedule.
Let me discuss with Kandan. Maybe we keep the demo one here because this is kind of more tactical. The one with Red Hat and the one that I'm doing with Tosca, it's kind of very technical. And the other one, the Nephew plus Gen AI, I'll find a way from Kandan to basically shift this to something else if we get the confirmation and opportunity with that provider to come and join us. We'll also basically do the announcement of them joining our community and start to work with us. So if that can fit in some other track, I'll brainstorm on that with Kandan. We can't fit 2 demos in half an hour, so
Exactly.
let's keep it like that. Yeah, I agree with you.
Okay. Thank you, Sana.
And it was also Kandan's expectations for us as the SIG chairs to basically moderate the session and cover some things like what's done in R2, what's happening in R3. I don't know if that's something that we are covering, Alexei, you and I, on this.
We're right
A
now.
wrapper.
Sorry.
It's like a wrapper, you know how you
Yeah.
intro the floor to the SIG one. So that's something we could do in 10 minutes, but I think that's something that he was expecting to keep the pattern consistent with how me and Kaushik used to do that in the past.
Look, we have 1 hour overall. I mean, it's split in 2 half an hour. But we could look at it in an hour, so we could have a 10-minute kind of a talk on.
Opening the floor, kind of opening the floor. That's what's done, syncing, reconnecting with the audience. So this was done in R2. Here we are. That's what we are planning for R3, and then we open the floor to these demos and discussions, just to intro to the room. Basically, is kind of what you and I should do at that time.
Sweet. So let's take the action, you and I, to firm up the agenda for these two. I think we anyway we own this, so let's firm it up.
Okay. Okay.
We have a lot of good content now, so
And let's
thank you.
time the content. So we'll tell every presenter that that's how much time you have. So basically, slot this effectively, and let's have a one-on-one, Alexi, on that to make sure that we have a crisp agenda. And I also meet Kandan again later in the day to see if he's good with the other SIGs, if he could increase the time for our SIG. Let me get some information from him as well.
Thank you, Sana. Okay, Ravi.
Just a quick question on the agenda. If I recollect from the TSC, those invited speakers were supposed to be external speakers, isn't it? I see them kind of. I mean, it's more or less an FU kind of representation there. Yeah,
You're right. I didn't input this here, by the way. Huh? This is not my doing. This is Kandan's doing. But you're right.
Okay.
This is not external.
So what do we mean
Frederic,
by external speakers, Ravi? Like the people who are not in the community yet, but we are asking them to join the community?
Yeah, I mean, some kind of external perspective of FU or how they view it. Because I remember him explicitly mentioning probably Qualcomm, Ericsson, or some of these external speakers. So that's what caught my attention. So.
could
And I
this?
use even I feel
maybe
what you're presenting,
yeah,
what
maybe
you're
that's why
suggesting
Kandan was.
there. So
I agree. Maybe that was Kandan was like excited about some of the demos that I was talking about because they have two new companies coming in. So the one that with the Tosca, Alexi, that one's a combination of the DZS. DZS is also a part of the community, but they never came up. Like they didn't contribute or they didn't participate in this. But this is the first time they're flying in to attend a
Okay.
Nephew Summit. So we could put the name of their company. And the other one in the Gen AI is basically a new startup called Broadcom. And me and Kandan are working with them in the background to basically join Nephew. It's also a startup that works a lot on the generative AI stuff.
So we maybe
yeah,
could advise Kandan, Sana, if the slot here that has been assigned to Sagar, Bala, and myself should rather be reassigned to these invited speaker that could be that Gen AI and DZS company.
I like, okay, the DZS is captured on that, basically on that the POC that I'm bringing a demo for. So it's a combination of TELUS, Red Hat, and DZS all in one. That's one demo, 30 minutes. It should be captured in that. So for this one, I do find this one very interesting as well.
Okay, so anyway,
so this
I
one
think
would already be done in the one summit. Basically, Alexi, what I'm thinking is that we would have already covered this in one summit. Do you believe that the audience would not have seen the talks that we would have covered already in one summit?
you mean these 2 points?
Yeah, these ones. We have two full tracks on this in the one summit as well, right?
Agreed.
So I still love it because I'm very passionate about this part. But let's socialize with Kandan that are there any people who are basically attending just the Nephew Summit who might not have seen it? Or
So
could we bring in fresh content? Like what do we do?
Hang on. Okay. So for the ORAN integration lesson learned, right? They will not have seen that in ONE. There's just a demonstration for it. That was supposed to be, and you can put that with a bird of a feathers with SIG 2 and 3, right? It's the lessons learned, right? And then the
So you
primer,
say we could repurpose this?
Well, they're going to see a demo in ONE. I think there's like the demo that Segregate's got, but
Like
this is
exciting part.
Yeah, this is the lessons learned that came from. So you can
the
put that in
challenges or the difficulties, something that a developer community should know, right?
Yes, that's right. And so that deserves to be here. It can be in SIG 2, SIG 3, bird of a feather, I don't care. The other one is really just showing the primary integration of how it uses the Nephew pieces, right? And I don't think there's an ONE correct me if I'm wrong, Alexis, this is you and Bala. Will they have seen that in ONE?
Yeah, we do have a talk with Sana, and
Yeah, there is one talk
with
with me and
those.
Bala, and the
All
other
right,
is with
so
Sagar and Alexi. So the exciting part will be captured on those tracks. My personal feeling is that.
okay, all right, that's fine. I wanted to make sure that there's, that lessons learned gets in there, because that is indeed different than what in Sega. That's the way Sega presented it to me. Was that this was
Trust
different
me,
than what they did in
team.
ONE.
I'm working with Sagar on this, so trust me, it will be heard.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
Alexi, in general, I think
Uh,
what Tim suggested, I kind of agree with that, is that when we are doing these presentations to the big audience in one summit, that is an exciting aspect of things. We are kind of making these executives feel excited about technology, and that's at another dimension. When we are bringing it in Nephew Day, we are trying to attract the developers community to come solve some problems with us that we are still facing. Like, a lot of exciting stuff is done, but that's the challenges and next things that we need to work on. So we need to get them excited about the technical challenges. So that's another dimension of the things that we are covering, and that should be the goal.
okay. Tal,
My
please go
hope,
ahead. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Sana.
I was wrapping up on that thought. My hope with Kandan was that with this one summit, we could actually attract more companies and more developers so that we could actually get more working people to the community. That should be like a sales pitch for us as well in that.
I definitely agree.
Yeah, I'm done. Go ahead, Tom.
Yeah, I just wanted to add from the discussions we had in SIG 2 and SIG 3 about it. So the structure of the schedule, I mean, the TSC basically gave us a free rein to do whatever we want with the rest of the schedule. We have a few assumptions here that, probably because this is last minute, hasn't been part of the schedule until very recently. We're probably not going to get a lot of outsiders into this Nephew Day. So our thinking was to use the Nephew Day for us. So yeah, absolutely, it's great that we have invited speakers. I would say even, there's no reason to limit it to 30 minutes. If we feel that these presentations need more time, we can absolutely do that. 15 minutes is really not a lot, but especially if you want to add Q&A and discussion around it. For the rest of the day, our suggestion from SIG 2 and SIG 3 was we came up with a list of topics. Remember last week, Alexi, you went over it, added some of your own. It's annoyingly right now, it's inside these SIG automation meeting notes, but we can move it to an independent document. So the idea was, thank you for that. Yeah, so we have a list there. You can see in April 3. Right, so the idea was to move this to an independent document and organize it just as a list, as a table actually, with a column for votes. And we'll see out of this long list of ideas that people had, what do we think would be the best use of our time there? And ignore the structure of the meeting, birds of the feather and hours and SIG and all that, and just have sessions. And for us, and if there's a whiteboard possible or useful for some of the meetings, that could be too. So really use it as work sessions. The same things we do in this meeting right now, weekly online, we can do them in person and be effective. So the day could be divided into something that's more community oriented with presentations, and then more work oriented sessions. So a different structure than what we had in the last summit, or maybe half and half. Thank you so much for this, Alexi. I'm loving your live editing here. Yeah, so that wasn't our idea. I wonder how you guys feel about it here. We thought we could finalize it this week with some voting, and then basically our schedule will be emergent from what we vote and what we feel is most important.
Okay, so I'll finalize this so we can do some voting. I'll add. Oh yeah, we already had some of the things captured in the feedback I heard. So I'll merge the various. Sorry, I'm lost. Things together, and yeah, okay, I can take care of this to tidy up the proposal, and we'll share later today, and then we
Yeah,
can go on to voting.
Alexi, a quick note to that. Whatever ideas we have, of course, you are putting them together. Let's just look at how much time we need for that. And when I circle back with Kandan on how many ideas we have, we are also looking at the overall agenda and some of our internal sync-ups. So if we look at what we have received from the other SIGs, I think we'll have a better assessment of what could go into this overall agenda. We might not have as many inputs from some of the other SIGs. We haven't seen anything from SIG release at the moment. So we'll be able to shuffle things around and fit them in the day towards the end.
Sounds good. I put the link on the chat here. Everybody, this is community, right? So welcome your contribution in there. If someone can play some magic as I speak for the next couple of minutes, we'll tidy this up, and Sana, to your point, we'll get the best agenda we can for this. At this point, this is more of a cross-SIG kind of work that we want to do here. So let's get this done hopefully in a week.
Can you get me access to the document you shared?
Hopefully it is publicly available.
I've got
No.
blocked,
Okay,
so
no, sorry.
I don't know
Yeah,
what happened.
My bad.
No worries.
Now it's good, publicly available.
Okay, perfecto.
Yes, Karen?
I don't know if anybody else is planning on joining for the second day as well. It is the Linux Foundation Networking Developer Summit, I guess, overall as well. Is there any possibility to use the second day for some of the more sort of deeper dive stuff that Tal was referring to, if it has to overflow?
The second day is May 4th?
Yes.
Me.
Yeah, there is no way it's happening. Personally, I just changed all my bookings to May.
It's May 3rd,
to leave.
actually.
Yeah, no, I wish I knew that a week ago, Karen. I'm sorry.
So Nephew Day is happening on May 2nd or May 3rd? I'm again confused.
May 2nd is what I think we were
May
all,
2nd.
which is
I'm flying back on May 2nd evening, actually, in my tentative mind. I haven't booked the ticket yet, but that's what I was thinking.
May 2nd is a Thursday and May 3rd is a Friday.
Okay. Yeah, in my situation, I'll fly back on May 2nd after finishing, of course, the full Nephew Day.
I think because it's such a last minute change, I'll be happy if people even stay on Thursday, let alone Friday. I think people plan to come to ONE, and ONE ends on Wednesday, right? So Monday,
Right.
Tuesday, Wednesday. So the next day is for DNTF. I assume not a lot of people plan to be there. So I think we have to take into account this is just kind of last minute. We'll be happy that a lot of people show up, but it might be less full than last time.
Karen, that was something else
Yeah,
you'd like to add?
No, I forgot to lower my hand.
And
But I guess
also
what I'm
one
hearing is
quick
not a lot of
thought.
people will be there on the Friday. So
Yeah, another quick thought. Maybe it's a question for Kandan, and then go back and ask. We are actually pulling in all the DNTF people in the Nephew Day. So will there be anyone attending DNTF content anymore? Karen, if you were following that, are you going to attend DNTF at all for the CNF testing program and all the work that they were supposed to do in that session before this Nephew Day came in?
I mean, I presume there's a bunch of other parallel events going on.
Okay.
Like ONAP and CNTI and ANUKIT and others will have their own parallel presentations. And I was assuming that they would continue on into the Friday, and that then, so for example, like I proposed that we and Liam and Istvan have put down sessions for things that we could discuss on the Friday if we wanted to use that as a mechanism for planning. But if we haven't actually synchronized that with the Linux Foundation networking organization, I don't know.
To me, I have heard from Kandan that we got only one day. So that was up until my last sync with Kandan last week. So I don't know if we could even if we can shift that to another day, like get 2 days basically for the Nephew Day. That I haven't heard.
Okay, so I've been to DNTF sessions before, and I've been to Nephew Days before. I've never been to a combination of the two. And as far as I recall, for DNTF sessions, there's usually like some parallel activities ongoing. It's been a few years since I was at one, but so, but
And nothing stops you from presenting the nephew stuff in the DNTF sessions anyway. It's kind of very flexible as well, right? Their agenda.
Yeah.
But Sana, given the amount of, I'm looking at the sessions that has been submitted to the DNTF, given the amount, I'm sure they're going to be scattered across the 2 days, right? So whatever we're going to do in our nephew day is going to be a conflicting agenda to the DNTF. And there are
Maybe
actually
just
nephew
to chime
talks.
in,
Go ahead,
Wim. Alex is right. So apparently my understanding is the following: actually nephew day is also actually part of the DNTF somehow, right? But we basically reserved the slot for us. But Friday you could extend, or you could continue on some of the topics even for nephew, although this is not reserved specifically for us. So in other words, you could. So if people want and they feel it's useful, they could use Friday to schedule some session, as already is done on the agenda, by the way. So you see there are 3 topics being requested. And if you get assigned, you will get a meeting room and you have a discussion and stuff like that. So it is possible, I think. Now it depends on the audience, but everybody's free to schedule this.
Yeah, and I kind of agree with you, Wim, because we are paying for the DNTF attendance, right? And when you pay for that, then you're eligible to basically attend the 2 days. And essentially, if you're there, you could do anything you want.
Correct. Yeah.
Right.
We cannot stop anyone from doing that. We cannot stop anyone from doing that.
Right.
I missed the fact we need to pay for DNTF. For the nephew day, we also need to pay?
It's a funny thing. Although our registration is paid off because of the speakers, but this we need to pay separately, $100 for DNTF.
$100. Yeah.
Okay, okay. All right. I think, look, I'm so lost. I think it's.
Let's go back
I
to
was going to
agenda.
say. I was going to say I think it's clear. It's definitely not clear to me, but it's. I'll figure it out for myself. Hopefully, folks, you'll figure it out for yourself as well.
Let's focus on the day 1, kind of May 2nd agenda, because that's when we have taken the full day and we want to give it a format of the previous nephew summits, kind of take the ownership of that day. Whatever falls on the DNTF, I think DNTF folks will manage that. And it's fine. Nephew can be everywhere. We are, of course, not controlling the DNTF agenda right now. I think some folks are. Timu generally does, but I think that's his basically problem to look into that.
All right. Let's move on. I think the goal is to firm up the agenda that we have here, and I think that's a good enough understandable action item that I can lead. Okay, folks. So let's go through. Any other questions? Sorry, on the. Let's not talk about the DNTF because this is losing me. But any other question on the Nephews day at the DNTF that we can talk about? All right. So then, Sana, I think was that the topic you wanted to discuss, Sana?
Exactly. I wanted to make sure that I relay to you the intro to the floor idea, and then of course the 2 demos that I had in my mind. And if you have inserted that somehow, then we'll continue to evolve things and form the agenda around that.
Okay. Okay. So sweet. All right. So we'll take this as no more question on the topic. Let's continue. Working group updates. Let's go to the team board, and Tim, if you'd like to provide updates, that would be great.
So there isn't really much updates. Again, we're still working on the create cluster for release 3. So there's another meeting scheduled, I believe, tomorrow for that. They're trying to come to closure. The big problem, but the group is considering how to create how to do this without ORAN specific, O2 IMS specific aspects of it, and then have the O2 IMS specific aspects use the more generic Nephew enablers. So that's the big
Okay.
task that they're working on. The other thing that we're doing is we're starting to identify objectives and use cases for release 4. So we'll be continuing that ongoing as well. So we're trying to prepare for the next set, whether it's release 4 or whatever. Just next set of objectives and use cases.
That's good. Okay, thank you, Tim. Any question for Tim? All right. Moving on to Karen.
Yeah, updates. We had a good discussion last Friday with Vim, who graciously agreed to present some of the I put some user stories in there, so there is one assigned to Vim there, documenting the principles and trade-offs using the NFO modeling to date. He gave a good overview with the document he was creating on Friday, and the plan is to merge that in with the NFO documentation. So hopefully we'll see a PR at some point soon. Other than that, I had a rejig of this board slightly, so I've just started putting together, for example, the bottom item, document the current model design intent. I have a PR which I need to make, so I've got a work in progress on my fork. It's the same repository we're doing the documentation on, or the architecture documentation, but it's a different branch, and so I plan to merge or make a pull request for this in order that I can get feedback on it. So I'm going to do that today.
That's
then
pretty cool. Yeah.
if you go back
Thank
to the on the left-hand side, then I've created a user story for documenting principles for alignment with SDOs. That's one of the discussion points that we've had in the group. How do we want to work with SDOs? I haven't started working on that. It's just a placeholder. And then I'm going to work through. We have a Word document in which I've collected a number of discussion points that we've had over the last few weeks, which I'm going to turn into items on this board. I only started working on it this morning, so that's basically where we're at. PR from Vim, hopefully coming in soon on the modeling principles. A PR from me on the current model design intent, and some new user stories to start tracking how we go forward.
Thank you very much. Any question for Kieran? Thanks. I'm excited. I look forward to see this more formalized in our doc. I think this is going to be
Do you have
potentially
links
something.
to that? Can you include the links to that? That'd be
It's everything is in the GitHub Word. I can share the link from Kieran's GitHub.
I'll generate a PR this afternoon, and I'll this evening, and I will make that available as well. There should be a generated preview of the docs from that.
Oh, okay. I thought it was already there. Sorry. Thanks.
Thank you. And this eventually could also be a good talk for the bird of feeder. I know we have a lot. I'm just going to capture it just for sake of for the sake of not forgetting. All right. Thank you, Karen. Do we have Stephen? Yeah, we have. Great. Hey, Stephen, thank you for joining us. Is there any updates or work in progress on the SDK side that you could share with the team?
Hello?
Yes, you're audible. Yeah,
okay,
absolutely.
Good. Yeah, because my audio was off for a while. So there's a contributor, Dan from Ericsson. He's working on the CLI front. So currently this is a QBuilder wrapper. So we're looking into what exactly does it generate. out of the CLI. There's something that, because he's been off for a couple of weeks, so there's something he and I would have to talk about with the community. Hopefully he's there for tomorrow's meeting. For me, I'm doing the C operator. So that's the thing that sits in the middle where the vendors business logic would be hooked up with. And that hopefully would be, well, we have a talk on ONE Summit, so it should be ready by ONE Summit. So let's put it that way.
And I missed the beginning. It's what
so
is it
that is
exactly?
so we have a runtime operator, if you will, Nephew, that requires us to A, process the Nephew C out, and B, as a hook point to connect with the business logic. From various different vendors for NF vendors. That's this operator is the thing that I'm working on. And probably will be ready by ONE Summit because I'm supposed to demo that on the talk. The experience of building this would hopefully give us at least for our three, what is the who's responsible for what type mapping. So what does the CLI, the tools do? What does the proxy do? And what would the business logic do? So then hopefully publishing the documents and a sample code to
Awesome.
get folks on board. Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah, thanks, Stephen, for the updates.
Mm-hmm.
That's very good to know.
Mm-hmm.
Anyone has a question for Stephen? All right. Moving on to Subhash. Subhash, are you on the call? Yes, you are. If you're talking, Subhash, we cannot hear you. We still cannot hear you. Yeah, no worries. I guess today is the day with mic issues. You're not the first. Take your time. In the meantime, I'm going to look at the notes. What did we said last week? I said framework for ODU. I don't know that you shared the user story. Oh, you don't have the meeting. Subhash, quick note. We discussed last week that you could share the user story you've been working on regarding the ODU bandwidth assurance. I know Working Group 2 and team asked and would be interested in that. I don't know if you haven't made any progress, then status quo, but if you can still share, I think the sooner the better for the team. And I saw you populated the ML service assurance topic here, so thank you for that. And all right, well, I guess this is good enough. Thank you for the quick chat note, and I guess we'll go with that as an update. Thank you, Sebastian. And finally, moving on to architecture and planning and scope. So yeah, I've been failing a little bit to build the RX scope. So as I said many times, I think we do have a tangible R3 pipeline, an R3 proposal, and even R3 scope. So from where I stand, I believe we're in a good position when it comes to R3 deliverables by now. Of course, not everything is approved, not everything is done, but with the amount of things that we have approved, and with at least the amount of work that I'm seeing happening in Working Group 2, I'm confident that there will be some key deliverables that will happen surrounding priority number 3 and 4 here. I can't talk about priority 1 and 2 here. I think this is more SIG 2 related. And the user experience with the update we got from Stephen, I'm also convinced we're going to have something at least tangible. And service assurance, well, we can say whatever, Subhash can talk. So, but I'm hopeful we'll have, I know there is a lot of work that is already happening on the observability framework. So all in all, based on our top level priorities, I think we'll have some sort of a deliverables for each one of them. From a pure Nefio standpoint, I think we'll We're also in a good shape to have these 6 deliverables, at least the first 5, I'm pretty sure. Target component architecture, I'm going to go there in a minute. Schema registry, with what Karen and the team has been doing, I'm pretty sure we're going to be in a good shape. Roadmap, that's count on me. We're going to be in a good shape, but this is something I need to start doing, like what is Nephio beyond R3. User stories, sequence diagram. For all the user stories approved, we already have some sequence diagram and some kind of understanding. So we have the data. It's more being able in that deliverable to marshal that data and making it consumable for external people out of Nephio. And then the user journey, we haven't done a lot of work on this. The C4 model is helping a bit. There is some contribution that were done initially by Bernard from DT that I want to, dust off a bit. But all in all, what I'm trying to say is I think we're not in so much of a bad shape for R3, which gives me hope. Any question on R3 scope here? Anyone reading this differently? All right, so scope-wise, I'm going to go ahead, Karen.
I don't know if it's scope related, but do we have an R3 date?
Come again?
Do we have a date for R3?
No, well, not that I'm aware of. But this team should be aware. I cannot represent you folks at the TSC because it conflicts with my personal calendar or my professional calendar. So I've never been able to attend TSC, and because of that, I'm not able to take that action to them. I don't know if someone
Give
can
me
update us.
the action. I have promised Kandan to attend the meeting. Since he moved this to 9 a.m. for me, I will be attending these regularly, Alexei.
Thank you. So Karen, Sana has the action. We'll update you probably next week or.
I'll be at the TSC as well anyway. So, but I think it'd be good if we have a scope for R3. It would be also good to know when we're hoping to deliver the scope by.
Yeah, but as we said
Yeah.
many times, right? Our scope is not set in stone. It might be a rolling scope. So
Yeah.
Whatever is the date, I think we're in. What I'm trying to say is I think we're in a good shape, Nephio-wise, in terms of content for R3. Now is how we're going to be able to shape it.
Okay.
Yeah, Alexei, I keep hearing it again and again that this, from requirements perspective, we are kind of well organized, structured, and we are doing good work in that. But from the developers' perspective, SIG2 is still not fully ramped up, and I think that's what determines what we can accomplish in every release. And we also discussed that with TSC, I think last time when I presented, that we are constantly working in an agile way, but I think the timelines for the R2 and R3 are kind of only for the external world, for the press releases, for the external communication. And Kandan said that I would only hope that there is some theme that we can capture every time. So just to keep it in mind, that's how our evolution would continue to happen.
Yeah, okay.
Hey guys, so could I suggest something?
Please go ahead, Tim.
All right. So from a TSC perspective, they've already said, there are going to be 2 releases a year. Well, we said, May, June, whatever it was, November. We kind of have that.
Yeah,
already.
every 6 months. That's right, Tim.
Yeah. All right. So the question will be, from a TSC perspective, if I'm sitting back there, I'm going to say, okay, so it's at the end of June. Is June 30th is going to be the release 2 date, or release 3 date, I'm sorry. And then November 30th is going to be the release 4 date. Tell me, then I'm going to say as a TSC, tell me what I get at that date. And I think that's incumbent on the SIG2, SIG3, right, to look at this group of things that you've got here and say, you get this, this, and that. And the rest of it will just move into backlog, if that's the date. Now, this is all the things that we think we got ready. You want to then give the TSC to say, if you really want this extra stuff, right? Because we got to prioritize. If you want this other stuff, man, maybe it's a July date or an August date. But I don't think, what I'm seeing right now is that we're going to be batting this ball into each other's courts that nothing ever gets resolved, right? And I think maybe the best way of doing this is make the assumption that we're on a June 30th, November 30th cycle.
Schedule,
And
right.
schedule, and if you, then we'll tell them what they get in that based upon this and what they don't get. And then they say, no, that's not good enough. I want that. We say, well, okay, then it'll be this date. I mean, it's just normal give and take of development, right? But I just don't think you got to go up. If you just go up and ask the question, they're going to say June 30th. Then we're going to go back to the other guys and say, well, you can't have this. Then we'll go back up to them. They'll say, well, I want that. And we'll go back. So just stuff all that.
I think Tim, for some of these ideas, I'm sorry, Karen. I'll make a quick comment and then go to Force. You have raised hand. I think with some of these discussions back and forth, we agreed last time that the release dates are going to be every 6 months. It's for the external communication. Like you said, if it's June 30th, that's what it is. And we also decided in one of our RX scope and planning meetings that we'll continue to work iteratively between the SIGs, like through whatever process we are working at the moment. And whatever is done by that date is what we will communicate externally. So we are at peace with this model, we are moving with that. And I know there isn't a lot of effective communication between SIG2 and SIG1 saying that SIG2 has already committed to do X, Y, and Z, and by June 30th, they will deliver X, Y, and Z. That's kind of still a rolling progress on their side. They don't know what they will deliver by June 30th, but whatever it is, we'll give it a theme, do the external communication, but between the two SIGs, we are constantly working together in an agile way. So the June 30th is kind of very irrelevant to this way of working between the two SIGs, is what I'm saying.
Okay. I have also opinions, but Karen, please go ahead.
Yeah, sorry, I'm not entirely sure what my point was going to be. I think I hadn't realized June 30th was selected as a date, so that's good to know. And I guess, at least external people looking in do kind of wonder when new features are coming and so on and so forth. So having a date to point them at the R3 release is good. But I also feel yeah, I mean, I kind of align up with Tim. I think having a time-based release process and regular cadence and things like that sound really good. And if we're in that cycle and everybody's agreed that that's the way we're going, then I think that's really cool. I'll leave it at that.
Right. Okay. Thank you, Karen. Yeah. Okay. So that has to do a little bit with the planning. I don't know exactly the action to take here. I think this is more of a TSC discussion. So I'll see if I can make it to the TSC. But else I'll rely on the TSC member on the call here to help me drive these forward, as I believe this is not just a SIG1 thing, but I definitely want to own this as well. So don't get my comment as me not willing to own this. It's just if I can't be at the meeting, I can't drive the discussion.
I will own this, Alexi. I happen to be the TSC vice chair as well, who has been super absent in the TSC meeting, but I'll take care of this.
Sweet. All
communication.
Right. Thank you, Sam.
Yeah.
So could we possibly, for the next TSC meeting, assuming it's June 30th, and I think that's really a Tal, Bala, and Win, discussion, their teams. Is there ability to say, we go through that list that you have? Is there ability to say, yeah, we have confidence? I don't, it not be 100%, but whatever, we have confidence that this is what this would look like in June. Is that possible to do? Because I think that gives TSC information that they can go.
I can do that for the SIG1 deliverables. Absolutely. I need help from the various folks on the team for these.
Yeah, that's why I was mentioning women.
Tal has his hand raised.
Yeah, we can't do it yet, but we've organized teams, and every team has its own constitution, I would say. I think once we do triage and have a good idea of what work is ahead of us and what we're actually doing per team, then we'll be able to say something with some degree of confidence over what that team can deliver. Not yet. I would say not yet. We need to do that initial triage first. I think it could be that some teams are more ahead than others. I can't say. There's just a lot of different topics.
Yeah, that's fair. We just
Yeah.
schedule the teams, so I think it's fair that there's a little bit of a talking time for the teams to understand where they are and what they can do. Wim?
Yeah, I mean, we have to be realistic, I think, everyone, right? See, we are at the moment mid of April. Okay. I don't think we have done lots of work in R3, right? So there will be very little stuff that will happen. Just be, because if you look to the other releases, right, we were busy at least 5 months before we delivered anything, at least. So
yeah,
so you have to be realistic, right? Even we have formed the teams. Let's not expect miracles, right? It's not that the people are not 100% allocated on this thing, right? So open source requires effort. So I think if I would, my honest view, if you look to the list, I think 50% is not going to happen at least.
But I think that's okay, Wim.
No, sure, but I think we just have to be realistic between ourselves, right? Let's say June 30. I was always of the opinion, the fact that we still ask the question, when is the release, is for me a bit weird, because we always said we do 2 releases a year, right? So, and put a stick in the ground, right? And we deliver whatever is available, right? But let's be honest, we basically have 2 months.
Yeah, I think we're all on the same page here. Yeah. Okay, so any other comments on this?
Yeah, I just want to add to that. You know, it's fine if we do 50% or less, and for all of us, I think we've done a lot of progress in this cycle, right? Even if we won't have a lot of code to show for it, I think our design and planning has matured quite a bit. I'm personally feel confident and happy with the progress we've been making, even if this release might not be, earth-shattering in terms of features. If we're strategic about it, we might still be able to deliver impressive POCs that show kind of our intent for the future. So we can try to prioritize something like that to show as much as we can, just showcasing ability, even if we don't have, completely new and impressive new use cases, right? Even just showing a little bit of ORAN, for example, I think everybody agrees would be deliver a strong message, I think, to other communities. So yeah, I'm feeling okay.
Excellent. And Tol, to your point, I think sometimes showing new use cases is not as critical as showing that whatever use case we built in the previous release, we hardened it and we made it more production ready. So if you can see the R3 priorities, what we asked for a high priority item was to basically make it work on the real K8 clusters. It came out of our POC experience. So whatever is done, if it is kind of more production ready, that's a very good theme, if that's what we could do in R3. So I think we are in good shape with that.
I would personally be very careful with the word production ready.
Yeah.
Kind of make it softer. I don't know what a softer version is. Closer to
because
real.
Even Sana, for this one, we don't even have an environment on which we can do it, right? That's our problem.
No. I meant if you took care of the security aspect of things, if you took care of some of the underlying critical aspects in R2, and if you were able to accomplish that, we would say that those were the things that actually helped us take a step closer to production. I don't know what's the right word, but first of all, those are good enough things.
But for me, first of all, I think that the items that you now are discussing haven't even been made visible to the team, as far as I know.
This was an example, Wim. This was an example. So
yeah,
whatever
correct, but
are
see,
the backlog
Sana, let's
items
be
in
realistic.
R2,
Let's be realistic, right? We are 2 months away. The fact that you're now throwing new things on the topic is
No,
for me.
I'm not even throwing it, Wim. You didn't get it right. I was saying as an example. So if if whatever is your current board in R2, if you were able to take care of some of the non-exciting things like
Sure.
we call it the urgent things, but if those urgent things were met and they make the product closer to making it real, then that's a good enough theme for R2. I meant it in that very abstract way. You get it?
Yeah, but I mean, at the moment we didn't start on any real topic, right? We have just there is not real work done at the moment. Okay, that's the state we are at. Just to be clear,
Okay.
we have
Okay.
done lots of discussions on what we can do, but we have to there is lots of work on the plate, and I think at the moment we are going in various directions, which mean that on every topic you do way less.
Hey, folks, I'm sorry. I let the good discussion take the time away from me. So we're a minute past the hour. Good discussion on scope and planning. I think we need TSC to chime in here a little bit. I think this is a little bit in SIG 1, but I hope that it's quite extensively as well as part of TSC to help address this. From my standpoint, the expectations of what we can do are very clear. We just need to set them straight. So I didn't get to discuss architecture, although Kieran has updated the PR with a couple of fixes. I'm planning an update as well, so architecture should be good
Can we
for review
do
a
the
second
architecture
time.
discussion, Alexi, on Friday? Because I have some inputs to the architecture as well.
Yeah, we will. I'm wrapping
Okay.
it up right now. The call is
Okay. All good.
now over. If you have something you'd like to add, team, please shoot a message on Slack. Happy to organize that for either Friday call or next Monday call. With that, I apologize for taking 2 extra minutes of your day and wish you a good rest of your Monday. And thank you for the good call. Cheers all.
Thanks,
Thank you.
folks. Have a good day. Bye.